So we're 4 episodes in, and I gotta say, I'm pretty worried about the Rising of the Shield Hero anime. Now, by no means am I trying to hate on the anime. I feel like a lot of my different viewpoints and criticisms kind of just stem from the fact that, after having read the light novel, seeing the differences and changes that they've done in the anime adaptation are just something I had to come to terms with. But the major problem for me is the pacing in the show feels a little bit rushed. It feels off for what the light novel has to offer. So my first point is on to episode 2. So this entire episode was dedicated to establishing the relationships between Naofumi and Raphtalia right after he's just bought her from the slave trader. Now, as we see later on, they do develop this kind of like father and daughter relationship. But although let's be real, we all know what we really want to happen. But yeah, so this episode went through about 80 to 100 pages from the light novel, and most of the moments just felt kind of watered down. We got like from the second half of the episode, it was mostly a montage and just a few stills kind of just depicting their events. But there are some really nice moments that I feel like we could have like stayed on a little bit more or shown a little bit more of from the light novel. One particular scene was the nightmare scene when she's first crying at night and Naofumi kind of like tries to comfort her. They do show that, but in the light novel, there's an extended section of that where Naofumi actually goes out through the night trying to, defend her and him from these monsters that are attacking them because Raphtalia keeps waking up from her nightmares and crying throughout the night. And I just thought it was really sweet seeing that he goes through that entire thing. I mean, of course, he's a little bit annoyed, but he goes throughout that entire time, defending them. And then by the end of it, Raphtalia just realizes how much of a good person he actually is from that. Again, she still does that, but I feel like seeing that whole entire moment play out would have been really nice to see. And then just the whole montage and stills that were in there didn't really do it justice of showing their relationship together. I wish it took its time with those moments between them a little bit better. It still gets the job done, but I don't know. Maybe I just want some more Raphtalia. Maybe that's just me asking for more of her. So on to episode 3. This one was a little bit more of a mixed bag for me, just because the whole ending where the villagers are expressing their gratitude towards Naofumi for him going out of his way to help them instead of fighting with the other heroes. The feeling again was a little bit different than what I got from the light novel, because in the light novel, I'm saying that a lot and I apologize, but in the light novel, he kind of, that partnership that he has with him kind of builds up over time, because it's where he starts basing like where he's gonna work, and where he learns more of his knowledge of the world and starts figuring out medicine recipes, getting more tools and stuff. They really help him, and they get closer to one another as they like learn better to appreciate him despite his reputation. We still get that in this episode, because he saved them, but I feel like the impact isn't as strong because they kind of skip over all of that in the anime. So on to episode 4. Now, I can understand that the scene still felt pretty emotional, still felt pretty strong to other people, but compared to its source material, I felt like the scenes were done very differently, because in the anime they actually added, changed, and kind of inserted some different stuff. I think with the good intentions of trying to, add more to the emotional impact of the scene, but I don't know, the momentum in the light novel felt a little bit better for me, because, when reading it, I felt like this momentum was building up to this point where everything was just about to explode, where Naofumi is just super angry and, Raphtalia's been freed, up to this point where, she finally embraces him and tries to get him to calm down and tries to, garner his trust again. But in the anime, they actually change the events of some scenes. They reorder it and kind of extend it a little bit more. For instance, right after Raphtalia in the anime, right after she's freed, Ren and Itsuki come in and confront Mine and Motoyasu about their cheating and try and defend Naofumi. But whereas in the light novel, everything was pretty much focused on Raphtalia at that point. She's just been freed, and then she like leaves and tries to confront and comfort Naofumi throughout this time. I just feel like it was a little bit better to just see it be more her and Naofumi rather than having the momentum be kind of broken down by Ren and Itsuki coming in. And then they also gave Mine lines. They had her talk back, and I feel like that was unnecessary. Did we really need to hear her in that scene? Were we not infuriated enough? Like, why? And then another thing they added was the whole dream illusion sequence that Naofumi has of Raphtalia as a kid. You know, as they're confronting, and Naofumi is trying to, or rather, Raphtalia is trying to get onto his side again. So that kind of dragged it out again. That kind of stopped the build up for me, I felt. And then one thing they even changed was, or didn't add rather, was her saying that she'd rather take the slave curse again. Like she'd rather go through that again, just so he can trust her again. Because I just feel like her asking for the curse again really showed her desperation to, you know, calm him down and show that she really cares and that he should trust her. It's also just a really sweet line to hear, so I'm just gonna read it real quick. But if you can only believe a slave because they are incapable of hurting you, then let's go back. Take me back to that tent and I'll take the curse again. You know, it was just such really sweet, just seeing her fight up so much for Naofumi to try and defend him. And just not having that line kind of broke that for me. I am nitpicking at this point. At this point, I'm just complaining because they didn't add some of my favorite parts, aren't I? And even when she brings up the false rape accusation rumor, in the anime, she's talking directly to Naofumi about it, kind of comforting him and confronting him about it, that she doesn't believe in it at all. But in the light novel, she's actually talking back to the royals and the heroes. So both are defending Naofumi still. It's just directed at different people. I mean, I can't complain. They still do a good job of showing that, you know, she indeed is best girl. I can't wait for like all the figures and like the cosplays and all the body pills and the Onna. And then my like last 2 points are pretty much that I don't know, I feel like the Curse series felt like the atmosphere of it felt a little bit darker in the light novel, because I don't know, in the anime it just enveloped him like a bubble and he's kind of just isolated, whereas in the light novel it kind of felt like it was more overtaking and like tension and hate was like really building up, and I felt like he really was gonna get like he was gonna do something badass or some shit. But and then, you know, Raphtalia comes in. So overall, I don't know, I guess that's just how I interpreted it. But if there's one thing that I was really disappointed in that they didn't include, was when he buries his face in her chest. Like, it's still there, like he's, you know, they embrace and he lays down on her, but like the way it was described in the light novel it just doesn't compare to how it was in the anime. It's just not the same, and I'm so mad at them for doing that. So overall, again, I'm not complaining about the anime. I still think the show is pretty good for what it is. It's just that I hope they can work the pacing a little bit better, you know, especially because this series is apparently going to be due for 25 episodes. It's weird seeing that, like, at the rate that they're going, where they're going to end the first half and the second half. If anything, there were some parts that I'm glad they kind of changed, because in the light novel it gets very redundant, because you see Naofumi kind of always like gathering medicine and getting new shields, unlocking new shields, and so just seeing a lot of that taken out, I think was a good point for the anime, because, you know, it would have dragged out and become very redundant. But yeah, I guess I'm just overall surprised by how different it is to see something go from the source material to an anime adaptation. Like, before this, I didn't really read as much, because like after watching the first episode of The Shield Hero, I just really wanted to know more, and I ended up buying like 7 volumes, today 8, and I'm just continuously reading them. They're just so good, and, you know, props to the author for writing such an interesting story. It really was just wonderful to see, I guess, to imagine these settings and all these events happening in your head and thinking of what it would look like, and then to actually see it come to life in the anime, and then just the differences, the small things that they change. It's really interesting to see that. But again, I just hope they work the pacing a little bit better. I know that they have to take some things out, and I know they have to change some things to work a little bit better in an anime adaptation. So again, it'll just be really interesting to see how this all resolves itself at the end of the season. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. For anyone who's read the light novel, please let me know if you thought as well that it was very similar or different to how you first imagined it while reading. Especially with the pacing, do you guys agree that it feels rushed, or do you think it's okay the way it is? Leave all that down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Jane, matane, all that other weeaboo shit.